We got mail.
Oh, good. I was waiting for this.
What is it?
Well, I was talking with Captain Poppenhouse at Goodyear a couple of days ago, and he asked me how our documentary was coming along. So I told him about the footage that we've gathered so far.
Yeah?
Well, at the time I was in the middle of editing some footage, and I asked him if there was any interesting pictures that Goodyear would like to send our way.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, he said there was one picture in particular that he thought we'd be interested in. I kept asking him what the picture was of, but he wouldn't tell me.
So what are we waiting for? Open it up.
Fine. Oh, wow. This is cool.
Is that lightning?
It sure looks like it.
Look, there's a note. Abby and Trista.
Thought you two might be interested in this. Back in the 90s, an out-of-state Goodyear employee was visiting our Wingfoot Lake airship base when a bad thunderstorm came through. The blimp was landed and secured, but had not yet been brought into the hangar. The visitor was sitting in the ground crew's bus looking back at the blimp with the camera held up to the window. Just then, lightning struck the blimp. He was so startled that he jumped and took this photo. Hope you like it and can use it in your documentary.
Cool. Maybe we should go to Wingfoot Lake this afternoon. We could give Captain Poppenhouse a call and thank him for the picture. And then while we have him on the phone, we could try to get an interview with him.
Sure, and we should ask him how they deal with bad weather, like when it rains or snows or heavy winds.
Exactly. So should I give him a call?
Yeah, let's hit it. Okay, Trista, you all set?
Ready when you are.
Rolling.
Heavy rain and blizzards, sleet and hail, lightning and windstorms. Bad weather can wreak havoc on you on the ground. But can you imagine dealing with these kinds of extreme conditions floating in a giant inflatable balloon 1,000 feet in the air? We're here at Goodyear's Wingfoot Lake Airship Base in Suffield, Ohio. And today we'll be talking with Blimp pilot Captain Poppenhouse. Our topic for the day, weather.
So, Captain Poppenhouse, how does a sudden change in the forecast affect the flight of the blimp?
It can vary from a variety of things, like a change of from a sunny day to a cloudy overcast day can affect our lift for the day. Can also affect the ballonnet size of the blimp. That's like the airbags or the air chambers inside the blimp. It can also affect the weight of it. If it's from a sunny day to a rainy day, that rain will actually add water weight to the blimp and make it heavier. So we're always constantly checking the weather to see if there's going to be any sudden changes to it.
Will any type of weather ground the blimp?
Yes, there's a couple conditions that will ground the blimp. Thunderstorms, lightning, we try to avoid those. Once again, we're always checking the weather to make sure we don't fly into any of those. Also, like wet snow, because that can add a lot of weight to it, or freezing rain. The same hazards that we have for like a plane or a helicopter, we also have for the blimp.
What would happen if, freezing rain?
Freezing rain and wet snow just adds a lot of weight to the blimp. And we are very weight dependent, so it might be too heavy for us to maintain our flight and force us down to the ground. So we try not to fly into those conditions at all possible.
Would the cold do anything to the blimp?
As long as there's no visible moisture in the air, we can fly in cold weather. Actually, here at our base in Suffield, we fly all year round. So even in the wintertime, when it gets down to 0 degrees or even below freezing, below zero, we still continue our operations.
How do clear or cloudy days affect the blimp?
Well, on clear days where we have a nice, bright, sunny day, we actually get additional lift. And it's due to the greenhouse effect. As the sun hits the side of the blimp, it actually heats up the helium on the inside, causes it to expand, forcing the air out of the ballonnets, which gives us additional lift. 1 degree difference from the helium temperature to the outside air temperature gives an additional 25 pounds of lift. So if we have a 10-degree difference or a 10-degree split from the helium to outside air, we'll have an additional lift of 250 pounds. So it gives us a better lift on a sunny days as opposed to a cloudy, overcast day.
How does the atmospheric pressure affect the flight?
As the pressure changes outside, it will affect the helium inside. As the pressure increases, the helium wants to contract inside the blimp, forcing those ballonnets or those airbags to inflate, get a little bit bigger. As the pressure decreases, the helium wants to expand, that forcing the air out of the ballonnets. the whole shape of the blimp is maintained by basically air pressure. So as the atmospheric pressure changes, it'll affect the helium inside. Because it's not like a balloon that will expand. The helium will expand, but the blimp is actually a fixed container. So as the helium expands or contracts, those ballonets will inflate or deflate to compensate for it.
Very cool. What weather variables affect the flight of the blimp?
There's several variables. The main one that we always are concerned about is the wind. Sometimes the wind might be too strong for us to fly in. We have several limitations. One for pastures, we have a little bit lower limitation. When the winds are a certain level, we won't fly pastures. And when we're doing a cross-country flight to get somewhere, we'll go in a little bit stronger winds. But sometimes they get too strong that we can't go anywhere. And it looks like we're hovering over the ground.
Have you ever been in some dangerous situations with wind?
Well, I want to say dangerous situation, but giving a prime example how the wind can affect us, we normally travel about 250 miles a day on a cross-country flight if we're getting from here to a destination. And when we left our base to go down to the Kentucky Derby, it's about 250 miles away. Well, when we left, the winds were so strong, we only made it to Columbus, Ohio. It's about 100 miles away in 8 hours. So it slows us down significantly.
Wow. How does the weather affect the flyability of the blimp?
Well, once again, if we have strong winds, it'll slow us down. If there's, I want to say like a lot of thermals in the air, it won't give us turbulence, but what it will do is it causes the blimp to like pitch up and down a little bit as we ride in and out of the thermals. Okay. You've probably seen the blimps over a city where it's pitching up a little bit, then pitching down. That's due to the thermals or hot air coming off of buildings or roads. And as this little bit of hot air rises up, it'll sort of catch the blimp and point up and slowly point back down.
Can you explain about thermals? You mentioned that before.
Thermals, basically, as the Earth's surface is heated, certain areas will heat up faster than other areas. Like a black surface will heat up faster than a farm field or a nice grassy area. So you get this column of hot air coming off these surfaces. Well, as they rise up, the blimp basically works off lighter than air principle. It basically doesn't weigh anything. So as you're flying through the air, this little bit of hot air will sort of grab the nose and it'll sort of slowly pitch up. And then as we ride through it, it'll level off. And as that thermal hits the tail, it'll start pointing back down. And it'll just be like a ship on the ocean or a very slow roller coaster ride, just going up and down real slow.
Temperature does not limit the blimp's ability to fly. The biggest factor is humidity.
Because water collects on the envelope and adds weight to the blimp.
Other weather conditions that affect the blimp are high winds and electrical storms.
Over cities, the heat from parking lots, roads, and large rooftops causes the air to rise. That's called a thermal. When the blimp flies into a thermal, it goes up, along with the rising air.
In 1925, the rigid airship USS Shenandoah was caught in a thunderstorm and crashed in southern Ohio. The dirigible broke in two, and the sections landed 12 miles apart. In remembrance of the 14 airmen who lost their lives in that crash, a local high school was dedicated to their memory. The students at Shenandoah High School, located in Noble County, call themselves the Zeps, short for Zeppelins.